Hello my friends, welcome to JC Model Creation. We're going to continue part 2 of how to build your first model kit. This is a series directed towards those of you who are starting your model building journey, and I'm glad to help you along the way. You're using the Polar Lights Star Trek USS Enterprise refit, so if you haven't picked one up, go to the link in the description. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and go into part 2. Okay, we're going to continue our build here, and I just wanted to point out really quickly, and special thanks to YouTube viewer Richard Graham for pointing this out. He's very correct on the Enterprise refit model. The base coat color is a pearl white type color. Tamiya sells that color actually, and I've got it right here for you to see. And I've used this color before on the larger model, but I do recommend this for this particular ship. TS-45 Tamiya color, pearl white. So what you're going to do when we get to that point, and I'll show you in the series, we're going to spray paint this battleship with a white primer, and then we're going to put the pearl white on top of that. That does really good for the Enterprise refit. So just thank you, Richard, for pointing that out. Great suggestion. I was explaining in my previous videos some basics, and you know, a lot of battleship basics include the black primer, but for this particular ship, white primer works great. Okay, let's continue. In the previous video, we had put these together, but one thing I did forget to do was get the bridge on here and the bottom part of the saucer. Let's go ahead and take care of that. Wonderful. Okay, I love this. The saucer section's coming along. I don't think I missed anything else there. All right, so let's go ahead and put this aside and go ahead and make sure I kind of clean off the glue from the tip of this needle so it doesn't dry up on me. Close it, put that aside, and let's move on to the next step. So part 3 in the instructions is your pylons. So we're going to go ahead and start those. Pylons are what we call these stems that connect to your warp nacelles. All right, so here we go. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, some of these are, this is kind of, I don't know if you can tell, but right here at the end, it's kind of staying open. So what I'm going to do, I did put some glue on there. I'm going to go ahead and use my clip here to just kind of hold it closed. Put a little more glue on this. And again, different modelers use different techniques and different glues. There's like a really watery glue that's out there that you can just pour into the model after the fact. Yeah, perfect. See how that's holding that together for me? This is exactly why I recommended buying these clips, just to make sure that it kind of holds together. And as good as these snap tight models can be, you know, nothing's perfect. And so you've just got to make sure that you get it correct, and use whatever technique you need to use to make sure it stays clamped together. All right, let's continue here with the next step. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of more clips out just to have them ready based on my experience with the first pylon. So even though this is a snap tight, there's a little piece here that kind of tends to open up, which is where you have the glue kind of dry up and fit in and make sure it stays closed. Now, obviously this part of the pylon is going to go into the body, so I imagine that'll help keep it locked in place if you don't use glue. So I just want to cover all my bases and make sure that everything stays locked. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this for a little while and let the glue just do its thing, and we'll move on to the next section. We're going to skip number 4 because it requires the pylons, and go on to the neck, I think, which doesn't require any of the pylons. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back to the other steps. Just a little tip there, you don't have to go in order. You can if you want. If I were not using any glue, I'd go in this order probably. But since I'm waiting for the glue to dry up, I'm going to skip these 2 that require the pylons, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to step 6. And then I'll come back to step 4. Okay, so step 6, let's grab these pieces and go ahead and snap them off. Some of this extra glue off. There we go. All right, and now let's go ahead and I'm just gonna put a little glue on here and on here inside, and we'll go ahead and install the torpedo launcher into the neck section, the neck area. Remember when I first saw Star Trek the Motion Picture back in the 70s, late 70s, pardon me, and we saw the new Enterprise, and I was fascinated with the way they reimagined the Enterprise, obviously the refit, and particularly the neck, what they did to the neck of the Enterprise was fascinating. It really was. I was very like, oh, what is that? You know? And then when I realized it was like a torpedo launcher, it's like, wow, that is so cool. Because, you know, you see the old TV series in the 60s, and it never made sense to me that the torpedo launcher and the phaser effect seemed to be coming out of the same area of the ship. It just didn't really make sense to me. And of course, here in the new movie, they kind of separated the 2 and explained that you know, that it all comes out from 2 different places. So that was a good thing, and of course they became more accurate as they went along. Okay, my friends, this little piece here doesn't seem to be settling in correctly. It almost feels like you can just push right through. I was thinking it would snap in, but here we go, it's not. So I'm glad there's glue there. I'm just going to let it dry out like that. Now it is going to dry and stay solid once that glue dries out. So notice what I'm doing. I'm using my tweezers to push it in, pull it out as I need to. That's keeping glue off my fingers. That's giving me the ability to reach in and grab what I need to grab. And then if it goes in too far, I'm pushing it out from the back here, just ever so slightly, so that I can see, I want to see the 2 torpedo launch bays kind of sticking out slightly from the neck. And I think that'll do it right there. Yep, that'll do it right there. So I'm going to let that dry. Let me go ahead and grab another clip here and just kind of hold those things together. There, hold on a second. Make sure there's no extra glue anywhere. Yeah, that looks good. All right. All right, let's go ahead and hold this together with a clip. All right, we'll be back once this dries and we'll go to the next sections. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and continue. This is taking its time to dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the next process here, which is getting these pylons onto the upper sections of the secondary hull. And you always want to, when you're doing this, as you're creating these models, just check the pieces. Like this is piece number 7 and 8, right? So a lot of times these models will have the piece number in the actual part itself. Now this one doesn't seem to have it. That's all right. Oh yeah, it does. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but it's basically inside the little piece there. There's a number 7. It's kind of hard to see from this angle, but it's right there. So a lot of these model kits, the numbers are on the part. Some of them, the numbers actually on the side, on the stem, like, for example, right here. There's a number for this piece here, just right there. So when you're creating these model kits, just be familiar with where those numbers are. On some of these model kits, like this one in particular, it's actually a little bit easier to kind of see because there's no other part like the part I'm cutting out right now. So you can basically tell that this part is, it's where it needs to be. So, all right, let us continue here. Problem. Don't want to break anything. All right, let me try doing it from the back first. Maybe you need to do it from the back first. All right, let's try that. And then we'll come to the front. Let's see how we do here. Front fits perfectly. The back does not. So there's a little problem with this model that we're running into is this back piece. So I'm going to, I may have to do something creative. Let me just check something real quick. Oh, it looks all right. It looks like it fits all right. Yeah, there's the hook. All right, there it is. Okay, so what I had to do is I had to get that little, there's a little hook on this tab that goes toward the front. I had to lock that in first and then bring it down so that it would go down all the way. So on this model, make sure that you start on this side when you put it down and then bring it down this way. All right, so you're going to start in the back and then go to the front when you put that top piece of the lower hull, secondary hull in. All right, let's see how this one works. So this has a similar tab here. You see it's got a little hook at the back, and then this tab here in the front. So we're going to have to do kind of probably the same type of method on the back piece here. Let me Wonderful, here we are. We've got a nice looking secondary hull going. And so this step here is almost complete. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the clear pieces and install them into the secondary hull. Let's do that. So clear piece 107, 108, they're shaped like a U. So I'm gonna look for U shapes, and that would be these two right here. Okay, we're back, and let me let you know what happened. This was a kind of a raw moment here for everybody to learn from. These little pieces are really sensitive, and you've got to be very careful when you put them in. And unfortunately, the piece that I was trying to put in on this side snapped out, and it's, as you can see, a very small clear piece. So I have not been able to find it. So my friends, hopefully I'll be able to find it and put it into this side. Otherwise, this is not going to look that great. But let me go ahead and continue on this side with this other little piece. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my fingers and try to control the piece a little bit, better than just using the tweezers with the piece. So let me try to do it this way, and let's see what happens here. All right, well, this went in nicely on the side that it was supposed to, so we're good there. I am missing this side, so hopefully offline I'll be able to find that piece and put it in there nice and tight. Now, we have a missing piece here, we have a piece here. We're almost done. We're done with this step in lieu of that one piece that's missing, and I'll update you next time. Let's move on to the neck and adding that onto the ship here, onto number 7. As you remember last time, the last take, we actually completed the neck, and here it is. So let's make sure that we connect it correctly. Let me just make sure before I do this. Okay, so before I put the neck on, let's go ahead and put the housing, the deflector dish housing on, so that the neck goes on correctly. I don't want to put the neck on first and then try to squeeze this in there. I just shaved off a little bit of flange from here. It's going to be covered by the neck, but you want to make sure that these 3 notches on the bottom are aligned properly. And as you can see here, one on this side, one goes on the other side, and then one on the bottom. It's just the way the ship is made. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So the thing with the snap is, okay, neck went on really smoothly, no problems there. And since there's cement glue on the neck, I don't have once it dries, it'll be on really solid. All right, so we've come to the deflector dish, this clear part here. that I really don't want to install yet. What I'm planning to do with this deflector dish here, the reason I don't want to install it is I want to paint this from the inside, not from the outside. And so what I'm going to do, because I want to leave the outside of the deflector dish kind of clear plastic so that it looks like it's got the effect that the light or the color is coming from the inside of the ship, and then the outside is just going to be clear plastic. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to use spray, like a light blue spray on this from the inside, and then I'm going to put a piece of round, I'm going to cut out a little round piece of masking tape, put it right there in the middle, and then paint it light blue, spray paint it light blue, and then I'm going to take that little piece off, and then I'm going to paint some white right in the middle there. I'm going to use a white spray paint. I'm going to be very careful with that light blue spray paint, and I'm just going to dust it on to where you can kind of see through it almost, so that the white spray paint kind of meshes in with it. I think it's going to give a nice little effect on the outside to where it's not like a solid blue. I've seen some folks just paint this all solid dark blue, and I kind of want to give it a different effect. And then on the chiller grills, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint them from the inside. I'm going to spray paint them with a light dusting of red and then a light dusting of blue. And that's going to create kind of a purplish effect on these chiller grills before I install them onto the nacelles. Okay, so I'm going to hold off on installing these clear pieces. So let's move on to the next step here. And of course, the next step is the shuttle bay door, which is right here. Let me go ahead and put that one on. All right, now this ship is not going to be lit up, so it's okay that there's a little bit of a gap here because there's no internal light coming out. And when we paint this, when we spray paint this, it'll be okay. All right, great. So now we've got this. I don't want to connect the saucer yet. I want to work on the saucer separately when it comes to painting and decals, and then attach it later. So I'm going to keep these two separate and work on them separately. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach the nacelles, and yeah, and then we'll continue, and then we'll start the painting process on this. Okay, so we're moving right along. Let's go ahead and attach the nacelles, and then we'll start the painting process in the next part of this series here. Okay. Okay, my friends, we're almost close to completing this ship. Again, next steps here are going to be to some excess glue that I'm going to wipe off. Next step here is going to be painting. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And hey, you never know, I might pick up some good ideas from you, and I do appreciate those ideas. Thanks again to Richard for the comment about the paint scheme on this ship. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you see that there's some value in this video. It does help me quite a bit when you do that. In addition, I'm going to leave some links to some of the stuff that I'm using here in the description in case you want to pick something up and follow along. This particular model is available in many different places. I'll leave a link for it, and it is a nice little ship, and when you put it together, it comes out really nice. So I totally recommend starting your model building journey with this. Okay, my friends, until next time, we'll see you in part 3.